In 1996, Warner Bros. Began developing a reimagining of the incredible Mr. Limpet, the story of a shy bookkeeper who's transformed into a fish and ends up helping the US Navy fight Nazis during World War II. A classic family film premise. But this wasn't just another remake. At the time, Jim Carrey was in talks to star. He and writer-director Steve Odekirk had just come off Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls, that wildly exceeded expectations.
I can feel it like it's right in my neck! Run!
Earning over $100 million on a $37 million budget. Warner Bros. Believed this duo could do the same for Mr. Limpet, reinvent it, modernize it, and turn it into a family blockbuster. Odekirk later explained how they worked together.
Jim and I would live together for a couple of weeks, and then slam out the comedy after I had finished the script.
The script wasn't just written for Jim Carrey, it was built around him. Their goal was something that worked on two levels: accessible for kids but layered with humor adults would appreciate. A modern story no longer confined to its original World War II setting. At this stage, the premise was still vague, but surviving storyboards began to paint a clearer picture. They suggest a story where Limpet rallies the fish to reclaim control of the ocean, protecting it from human interference and restoring balance. In these boards, Limpet confronts a fisherman and even fights him, and takes part in a daring rescue to save a captured love interest. Throughout them, Jim Carrey's influence is unmistakable. The exaggerated expressions, physical comedy, and tone all reflect his signature style, and Jim was fully committed. By 1999, he had publicly stated that he wanted to focus on family films, movies his daughter Jane could enjoy. To him, Mr. Limpet felt like the perfect project to dedicate that time to. The one decision that cost the movie everything. Warner Bros. Signed Jim Carrey for a staggering $25 million. Then a major problem emerged. In a faithful 2D animated version of the film, Carrey would only appear in live action for about 10 minutes. That meant the most expensive actor in Hollywood would barely be seen on screen. The studio panicked. Executives demanded the project to be reworked, so Jim Carrey's face became central to the entire film. This led them down a very difficult path. They began experimenting with 3D animation, bringing in artist Bob Camp to design a fish version of Jim Carrey, with Camp using Jim Carrey's facial expressions from Dumb and Dumber as inspiration. Next, the studio hired modeler Hiroki Itazoku to create CGI test models, mapping Carrey's facial features directly onto a fish body. Hiroki selected a set of extreme facial expressions from Carrey's performances, remodeled control verticals, and creating facial muscles that matched the performer. Executives were impressed, and instead of slowing down, they doubled down. Warner Bros. Spent an additional $10 million adopting cutting-edge motion capture technology, aiming to create a fully photoreal fish that carried Jim Carrey's exact facial performance. Jim himself hyped the vision.
It's gonna be photorealistic. It's gonna blow everyone away.
But that ambition would soon become the project's greatest liability. The ominous collapse of Mr. Limpet. As production advanced, the new Mr. Limpet looked unmistakably like Jim Carrey, and that's when the problems began. In January of 1999, reporter Jude Hagen revealed that Jim Carrey was having problems accepting the script, while animators struggled to convincingly blend live-action footage with the CGI fish. Despite millions spent on groundbreaking technology, actual production still couldn't begin. A month later, filming locations were delayed. Cedar Key publicly stated that the studio kept pushing dates back, offering no explanation while insisting everything was still on track. And the studio were actually quite cocky about it, which an upcoming director witnessed firsthand. Stefan Feldmark had negotiated with Warner Bros. For a year to finance his movie Help I'm a Fish. The studio confidently stated, "We already have a fish movie in the works." Help I'm a Fish was financed by Europe instead, and actually saw the light of day. As for Limpet, well, in March 1999, Steve Odekirk stepped down after months of conflict with Warner Bros. The studio, desperate to salvage the project, made one last attempt. They approached Brad Bird, fresh off the Iron Giant, and showed him test footage in hopes he'd take over.
Oh, man, I can swim! I mean, I could always swim, but now I can swim. Shark. El Grande Blanco. Bum, 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 bum. Get tired of hearing that, huh?
If you saw this in the water, you'd get out and run screaming and tell everyone the world was ending. Brad Bird walked away immediately, bewildered on what he had just witnessed. The official explanation was that Odenkirk left due to creative and budgetary differences, but after Bird's reaction, the real issue became clear. The CGI wasn't impressive, it was terrifying. By July 1999, Jim Carrey also exited the project. With its star gone, its director gone, and over 180 million spent without a finished film, Warner Bros. Quietly abandoned the incredible Mr. Limpet. What began as a heartfelt, character-driven family film collapsed under escalating ambition, studio panic, and unproven technology. Today, the cancelled movie is often mocked, but the artists who worked on it still speak about it with genuine affection. Had the movie stuck to the original plan, kept it 2D, and trusted the creatives they hired in the first place, Mr. Limpet might have become a family classic. Instead, it stands as one of Hollywood's strangest and most expensive cautionary tales.
I'd love to see a really good animated horror movie, and no one's done one as far as I know.
Oh, man, I can swim! I mean, I could always swim, but now I can swim.